Well, a hearty shalom to you, Jeffrey Seif here. Glad you're there. And we are here walking through the Bible. In the 16th chapter of Acts, Paul is on the move. In fact, he's the kind of guy who's on the move a lot. Sometimes the answer is slow and no. And for a type A personality that wants to get it done, we don't like that. I mention that because this second journey of Paul was precipitated by an unction. Let's go visit the places where we've ministered before. The first trip, it was easy as compared to the second. All the doors are slamming in his face. I mentioned that in chapter 16, verse 6 of Acts. We're told they went through the region of Phrygia and Galatia, having been forbidden by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, to speak the word in Asia. Asia Minor, modern Turkey, that's where Paul and Barnabas went on the first trip. And that's what the battle plan was for the second, to go hit up the spots they were at before. Nothing's happening. Luke, Paul's biographer, who is with him on the journey now, says, hey, we just can't get a break. In verse 7, when they came to Mysia, they were trying to proceed into Bithynia, but the Ruach of Yeshua, the Spirit of Jesus, would not allow them. I mean, they're out there doing his bidding, and you would expect him to go before and facilitate instead of being adversarial. It's interesting. Paul wanted to go specifically into these areas to visit congregations, to enhance, but nothing's happening. I don't know if you've ever experienced in your life nothing's happening. It seems like the good Lord is against you. There's a verse in Psalms that the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him. He's supposed to go before us, the guardian angel. But here, it's like heaven is advocating against Paul. It's interesting. The Lord beckons him to go on a journey only to stymie his attempts. What's up with all that? Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. We're told in verse 8, so they passed by Mysia and went down to Troas. They go all the way across modern Turkey. They're there at the edge of the Aegean Sea. And then, in verse 9, after a business trip that's just an abysmal failure at the end of the day. I don't have any other way to put it. It's just not going according to Paul's plan. The fact that it's not going according to his plan doesn't mean it's not going according to a plan. It's just not going according to his plan. We're told in verse 9, a vision appeared to Paul in the night. Now, I'm going to camp here for a second. That Luke reports just a big bomb. Not just that nothing's happening, but it seems the good Lord is preventing the happening. And he's not blaming, he's just reporting. He's a biographer. Paul, having experienced all of that, in the throes of experiencing it, he's there and at night. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, sometimes if things aren't going well, you just get restless. Spilkies is the Yiddish word, the Jewish word. You get antsy. And I say that because it's the middle of the night, and sometimes for me, I just have trouble sleeping. I get up, if I'm just being bothered, I just feel vexed. And Luke sets this up as just one bothersome road trip. But there in the middle of the night, we're told that Paul gets a visitation. A man from Macedonia, or a messenger from Macedonia, someone delivering a word, was standing and pleading with him. Now there he is at bed, flash, all of a sudden, there's a messenger there beckoning Paul, come here. Macedonia is northern Greece, Achaia is southern Greece. And when Paul began this second missionary journey earlier, there's no stated intention to go to Greece. It was supposed to be an Asia tour, but Luke tells us it just all shuts down. But there he's at the edge. He's traversed Asia Minor, modern Turkey. He's right at the western edge of it, up against the sea. And just as he's there in the middle of the night, Lord, I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I'm doing the best that I can, but I'm just all jammed up here. And Luke reports that it's like God's working against, frustrating his plans, forbidding him to minister. I mean, God called him to go be a minister of the gospel, but Luke says he's forbidden to do it. Now, you might not be called to be an apostle, but have you ever felt that God is your adversary and you're just left restless with it all? What's going on? Sometimes, and here's the point, sometimes it's good to be discombobulated, to be disoriented. I'm not saying that because I'm a masochist, I like to receive it, or a sadist, I like to inflict it. But I'm just saying sometimes it's good to just be uncertain and just out of kilter a little bit, because it keeps the mind spinning and open, and we're thinking, what's up? And it prompts us to look for, to be open to possibilities that we wouldn't otherwise be open to. Thomas Edison blew 1,000 light bulbs before he got the filament that actually worked, and you just keep trying, you keep working at it, and then eventually you hit payload. And how would you like to be one of the heirs of the Edison dynasty? How about that? It's just the cutting edge of the world back then. But you're restless. You keep working on it, and there's no such thing as failure. There's just new information about what doesn't work, and that's moving forward. Strange as it is to sound. I mention that because here's Paul. Man, what's going on? Nothing seems to be working. Flash. All of a sudden, a messenger. In Greek, it's the same word for messenger and angel, and in Hebrew as well. It's like a divine appointment, flash. There's a vision, there's a voice. Hey, you, come on over here. And we're told, he says that a man from Macedonia was standing and pleading with him, saying, come over to Macedonia and help us. Now, verse 10, as soon as he had seen the vision, immediately we tried to go to Macedonia. I want to speak to you about the word immediately. When Joseph was visited at night about the problems with Herod and the danger with the young with the young lad Yeshua, remember in Matthew chapter 2, the vision came to the middle of the night. Immediately he got up and left. When the Lord visits you and tells you to do something, you want to do it immediately. You want to get right on it. People just think and process. And I mean, I don't want you to jettison your brains at the door, but the point is, if God talks to you, get on it. And he does that. As soon as he had seen the vision, immediately we tried to go to Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to proclaim the good news to them. As I bring this to a close, I want you to know sometimes it can be a rather rocky road. Ministry is. It's not just like putting a knife through warm butter. If God's caught a gall in your life, then hell's got an assignment against you. That's the bad news. It is what it is. And here's Paul. He's the man of the hour with the power, but he's all jammed up by God in order to keep him seeking God, because God's got more for him than what he had envisioned. I tell people, if they have it all figured out, they can write out on a piece of paper, here's what God has called me to do with my life. I always say, fair enough, but write it in pencil, not pen, and make sure you bring an eraser. You might have to adjust it a little bit. And that's what's at play here. There's an old saying, blessed are the flexible, they will not be broken. One of the things that we've learned at the Tree of Life, Bible family, the Bible Society that's put all this together and advocating it, is what anyone in ministry has learned, that there's a lot of surprises. It can be a tad bit disconcerting, but all things work for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose, and there's good things to come. Hey, let's do this again next week. God bless.